Hi, I'm Eric Bostic. I'm a former school teacher and national education speaker. For the last 20 years, I've spoken to educators, principals, superintendents, students, and parents from coast to coast. Throughout my career, I've been interested in the psychological aspects of leadership, particularly with superintendents and principals, and how leaders can affect positive change within their school districts and communities. Based upon my experience working in education as a former school teacher and speaker, and inspired by the last several years of studying the science of relationships known as attachment theory, I'm now interested in taking a more attachment-informed approach to my work with educational leaders and focus on attachment-informed leadership. Attachment is the science of the quality and development of human relationships across the life course. Originally developed in the 50s by Dr. John Bowlby, and in recent years built upon by the emerging field of relational neuroscience. Research on adult attachment in the workplace demonstrates just how important it is for leaders to have an understanding of how their own security affects the people that they lead. In Dr. Victoria Grady's recent book, Workplace Attachment, she states that leaders at all levels are asking the question, what is keeping organizations from moving forward? And the answer is the people. The behavior of people is the critical element in determining organization success. In order to move organizations forward, leaders must understand their employees and what creates and maintains the connection between employees and the organization. Grady goes on to explain that many leaders look at workplace engagement and employee satisfaction as signals, but there are deeper roots that create workplace bonds. The bonds that we naturally make with other people, but also with organizations and with our working environment. These bonds are called attachments. Attachment resides within the brain of each person and connects us to others, to the world around us, and to the organizations within which we work. Attachments are a biological response driven by the unique instincts of each individual to find tangible or intangible objects to lean on for support. In the academic paper, Attachment Theory at Work, the authors answer a few simple and straightforward questions. Number one, why and how do people develop emotional bonds with others at work? And two, what are the characteristics of these bonds? And three, how do conditions or events that occur in the work environment affect these bonds or attachments between employees of their workplace as a whole? The answer to these questions lie in the understanding of attachment theory. So what is attachment theory? Attachment theory is an established theory of human relationships and among the most influential theories in psychology. It was originally developed by Dr. John Bowlby in the study of early childhood relationships, and it was later extended to the study of adult and work relationships. Bowlby described the dynamics of interpersonal attachment in the form of an attachment behavioral system, which is an innate psychological system that motivates people to seek support from others in times of need. When activated, the attachment behavior system triggers a set of responses focused on fulfilling attachment needs by seeking support of others. Attachment responses can be triggered by an organization's events or changes in the relationship from employee to employee and lead to attachment-seeking behaviors among employees. So how does attachment actually affect organizational behavior? Attachment theory researchers have established how attachment dynamics in work relationships are directly related to valued outcomes such as follower proactivity, ethical decision making, effective negotiation behavior, and creative problem solving. In contrast, when a person's attachment needs go unfulfilled in a work context, among the many undesired outcomes and negative consequences are increased stress, high reports of burnout, and increased turnover. Let's now look at exactly how attachment styles affect the workplace. Hazan and Shaver were among the first researchers to examine the effect of employees' attachment styles in the workplace. The three main attachment styles being secure, anxious insecure, and avoidant insecure. Specifically, they found out securely attached employees were least likely to put off work, least likely to have a difficulty completing a task, and they were least likely to feel failure or rejection from coworkers. Anxiously attached employees reported greater fear of rejection from poor performance, and avoidant attached employees tended to use work to avoid social interaction. Ultimately, the goal of the attachment behavior system is for individuals to obtain felt security through the fulfillment of two primary relationship functions: a safe haven and secure-based support. And when attachment figures, such as leaders within the organization, respond appropriately and consistently during times of stress, the followers experience felt security and are more likely to engage in autonomous behavior. Bowlby described this process as similar to a military officer setting out on an expedition. The extent of bold exploration taken by the military officer depends on the strength and security of his or her base. This leads to why the understanding of attachment theory and the practicing of the principles of attachment-informed leadership can be so beneficial for school leaders, such as superintendents, principals, teacher mentors, and anyone in authority on a school campus. In Philip Riley's book, Attachment Theory and the Teacher-Student Relationship, he explains why it is essential for educators to have a greater understanding of attachment and their own attachment history. Riley's book rests on a primary premise that the traditionally conceived foundation of education, the 3 R's, reading, writing, and arithmetic, are not foundations at all. In fact, they can only be built upon on an even more fundamental set of 3 R's: relationships, relationships, relationships. Relationships from the student perspective, relationship from the teacher's perspective, and relationship from formation and maintenance from school leadership. For a school to function effectively and for students to learn effectively, both set of 3 R's must be in place. Victoria Grady in Workplace Attachment sums it up best. The relationship that develops and exists between the leader and followers will drive much of the success within the organization. Whether it is the leader of the entire organization or just the leader of a small group supporting a program, there is an important relationship that develops with implications for the success of both the leader and the follower. The mechanism for the connection might reside in the attachment styles of the leaders and the followers. Thus, one can see the implications of why it would be extremely helpful for the superintendent and principal and any other school leader to have an understanding of attachment theory and practice attachment-informed leadership. Secure leaders, i.e. superintendents, principals, and teacher mentors, become a secure base for their teachers, and teachers can then become secure bases for their students, thus creating a safe haven school environment which helps all kids succeed in school and in life.